Hello! Today I'm going to be showing you the most basic beading technique. And to start, I'll show you the tools that you need. You will be needing a Nymo or Nymo thread. This is size D, beeswax, and your tools of the trade. These are beading needles. There's this kind you could order online, but the best to use, I believe, is John James. This is a really good beading needle. And little scissors, and of course your beads. I am going to show you briefly how to start to make something like this, similar. It's easy. Oh yes, and also your backing. The backing that I use is called Easy Felt. Right there. Easy Felt. 79 cents at Hobby Lobby. It's you get quite a bit. So what we're going to do is cut off a little slice that we need. It's nice and sturdy, and it really holds up well to all the stitching that you've got to do. I'm actually going to just still be showing you how to do a 2-needle technique. Okay, so now we have our little piece of felt right here. And I have my thread already pre-cut. Now, a lot of times you want to start out with quite a long piece of thread for your lead thread. I'm going to call it a lead thread because that will be the thread that you put your beads on. And then there is a tacking thread. And the tacking thread is the one that you will tack the lead thread down with. So to start, we are going to wax our thread. So you just take it. Oh, look. I have a really old piece of beeswax that I love to use. You just put it on the wax and pull. See how I'm pulling it through? Like that. And you wax it pretty good. Okay. Threading the needle here. This is the one, since it's the lead thread, we're going to double it. So we're just going to bring it all the way down here and make a little knot right down here at the end. So just twist it. I had made another couple of videos, and I realized that not everybody knows how to bead. So I figured I'd make a video that shows you the absolute, from the very basic necessities that you need to know in order to make beadwork. 2-needle flat stitch. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so we have one down. Now this is our stitching. I guess we could call it a stitching thread. That's a good way to call it because that's what you're doing. Or tacking. A lot of people say tacking thread. Okay, nice and... Okay, here we go. Oops. Oh, darn it. Okay, if it frays, it's best to just cut it. Use my nice big scissors right here. Okay, let's try that again. I usually pinch the thread between my 2 fingers right here. It seems easier. You pinch the thread and it kind of keeps it still because these needle heads are very tiny. These needles, I believe, are size 12s. So they have a very... Okay, so this is the tacking thread. And we are not going to double this up. I don't like to double it up. You can if you want to, if it makes it easier for you. And like I said, you know, there's no one right way to bead. There's all kinds, whatever is comfortable for you. I'm just showing you basics. So I'm just going to put a little knot at the end of this tacking thread. And if you'll see right here at this tacking thread, there's the open end right there, but it's still, you know, doubled up, but it's only gonna, you know, have one thread to tack it down. Okay, so let's get started. So here's our easy felt, and I'm going to take this little cap thingy. I don't even know what the heck it's called, but we're just gonna tack it down really quick. These kind of earrings are pretty popular. Everybody likes to make these types of earrings. So here we had tacked it down on one side. Usually I do kind of a few more passes, but okay. Okay. Now we're going to come back up on this side. We're going to come back up here, and this is the lead thread, and we're going to add some beads to it. Forever beads. I did a little design on this one right here. These I made a while back, and if you see, you just, to begin your, we'll work on that later. So let's just get started with the basics. When you're starting, it's better to just start simply until you get comfortable with what you're doing, and then start to add more flourishes to your beadwork. So you see here, I have my lead thread, and it's going to be here on top. And I'm going to take this and kind of wrap it so it's snug, and keeping this this lead thread nice and tight, and we're putting it right up against this right here. Okay, so now we're going to take the second needle. This is the tacking needle right here. Okay, and we're going to come up the first 2 beads, because you always want to tack down every 2 beads. I don't even know what this 2 right here. Okay, so we're going to start the very first 2 beads, and if you can see right here, we're going to come up really close next to these 2 beads, just on the outside. Okay, we're going to pull the thread all the way through. This is the tacking thread, and now we're going to take the tacking thread and we're going to just go just on the other side, on the inside, like that. Oops. Sometimes you'll accidentally pull your thread. So do you see now? I'm pulling it nice and tight down there. If you can see, it's just going just over these 2 beads right here. You see, here's my lead thread. Okay, we're going to keep them nice and tight. Here's my tacking thread. It's just 1 thread, and we're going to pull it, and it's going to go right in between the beads and disappear. Ta-da! It's gone, but it's holding this thread down. And if you want to look, see, there it is right there. There is the tacking thread that's holding this lead thread down. And that basically is what you do. You just go down another 2 beads, come right up next close to it, while you're keeping your lead, this these beads nice and tight, close together, and you just come and you tack down when your thread doesn't get caught, which happens a lot. Oh my goodness, there we go. As you can see right here, I'm pulling it tight and it just disappears. Ta-da! And see, it's holding this thread down. And you just repeat this process until you get to the end. So, here you go. I would not recommend trying to bead every 3 or 4. There's people who say that you can bead every 4, but you do see problems with that because you makes your beads buckle and seem a little bit more loose, and you want to keep your beads nice and flat. So if you can see, I'm just going right inside and I'm taking that needle down, and then I'm pulling the thread nice and tight. Okay, let's put some more beads on there. So here's my lead thread again. We're adding more beads. I do recommend, if you're very brand new to beading, to start simple and small. And, you know, it takes a lot of patience to bead, and, you know, if you're starting out, you don't want to go for some aim too high and get frustrated and want to quit. You want to keep beading. So that looks like it'll fit perfectly. Okay, so since it's going to fit perfectly like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lead thread and I'm just going to, this is how you finish off a line. You just push the needle through that last bead, or the first bead actually, and see, it pulls it tight. And then when you're done tacking, I'll show you how to finish it off. So then we're going to go back to tacking. Okay, so just keeping this one tight, nice and tight. Just wrap it around your fingers somehow and hold it tight, and keep your thumb over here to keep the beads in place. And then we're going to take our other needle, the tacking needle, and we're going to bring it up and back down again, like a sewing machine. You are like a sewing machine. You are sewing beads. That's basically what you're doing. See, and sometimes your thread will get knotted up in the back. Just untie it like that. And then you just keep tacking down every 2 beads. Okay, so now we've come down to the end. Tack this last one, so you see one last time. Start back here. Do you see my lines, or you see the thread, how it kind of, it's uniformed because I'm staying on the outside and going in. So if you're staying on the outside and going in, you'll get like a nice little pattern with your thread back here. I mean, it doesn't matter what the thread looks like, but here's the last tack. And then to finish it off, if you remember, I put this lead thread through the last and first bead together. Now I'm going to take the lead thread and I'm going to just tack it down. So I'm just going to tack it in down here. Pull it. Oh my goodness. There we go. Pull that lead thread down without getting things all tangled up, which is what I seem to be doing today. There we go. And it all disappears, and what you're left with is beautiful beads. And to start the next row, you find your, see, now I have 2 threads back here. I have my lead thread, which is doubled up. I can tell, makes it kind of easy when you have a doubled up thread, and then you have your single thread right here. You can tell the difference. It makes it a lot easier too. You just take the lead thread again, come up over here, and pull your needle and thread up through just on the outside of the first row. And we're going to start a second row. So to start a second row, I'm going to just use this yellow so you can kind of see. And then I'll show you how to just tack. You just follow the same process as the first row. And that's how you build up your earrings. See, I added my beads right here. Okay. We're just going to keep it flush up against the first row. Okay. See how it's flush? Make sure that they're all tight up against the end of, the beginning of the thread. And now we're going to use the second needle and tack again every 2 beads. Just come up as close as you can. You want to stay right up against these beads. See how the needle's right up against the beads? Pull the thread all the way out and go just on the other side of the beads. See, now I'm going right inside, and you want to keep the beads close to each other. And if you can see, I'm going to pull it nice and tight. Ta-da! And then you just repeat this process until you all get all the way around there, tack it down again. Okay, so now that you have this done, eventually you will have a finished product. And these are post earrings that I made. I used a Hobby Lobby again. I just got these posts right here. You can buy them. They come in a little package. And I used E6000 glue, and I just glued all that together. And for the backing, I used leather on this one right here. Now, I have this thread right here. I have this thread because what I can do is edge it. Now, there are many different ways to edge your earring. I'll show you 2 different ways right now. So the first way, you just start right here. This is like a 1 bead way that people edge things. And I don't have any examples really to show you. And I need to wax my thread because that's looking pretty rough right there. Okay, so to the edge. So I pulled this thread through. I'm going to put 1 bead on here. And I'm going to go back through sometimes if you get too crazy with your glue, it'll make it kind of hard to go through. So I came through on the back side of here with my needle. Okay, I'm going to pull my thread all the way, and it's going to come out on the front, and we're going to take this needle and push it back up through the bead. Okay, this is how you start it. This is just a 1 bead edging, and this will hold, everything in place when you're finished. Oops. Okay, so now we're going to grab another bead. I'm just going to use another color so you can see how it works. Okay, so here I grabbed a blue one. Now I'm going to go on the back again. And I'm going to push through to the front like this. Okay, do you see? All right. So now I'm going to pull it tight a little bit. And then I'm going to take the same needle that's in the front now, and I'm going to I'm going to pull it back or put it through this bead right here. And that's how you do like just a one bead technique to edge. So we'll just do a couple more so you can see. Okay, so come back around the back like this, through to the front. Sometimes it gets hard to pull those through. See how the bead is wanting to, you see how here's the back like this, here's the front. And then I'm just going to take this thread and pass it through the bead again, and it's going to keep it in place. And you kind of want to pull it tight, and that'll make everything nice and tight. And see on the back, here's your stitches right here. Okay, that's one way to do it. We'll come over here and we'll do another way. Okay, so let's just pretend that's not there anymore. This way, you're going to take the beads and go entirely around to the back. Okay, so we'll start out from the back. I usually start everything from the back of the beads. And we will do blue since it's a nice color. And then take your beads and measure how many it will take to go all the way to the back. Okay, do you see what I did there? So I started out from the front. I think for 5 beads would be okay, but we're going to do 4. So you see how this is covering the edges basically. Okay. So then kind of see where your beads end right there. And we're going to take the needle just off to the side of these beads, and then we're going to push it through to the front. Ta-da! See? That is another way to edge your beads. So here I'll do one yellow so you can see what it looks like. This one, when you do it this way, you have to be more conscious of your spacing with your needle, because you do have to make allowances for the beads because they are larger than the thread. So if you see right here, there's the beads, and I'm going to take these yellow beads and do the same exact thing like this. Okay. So sometimes if you're just beginning, it is okay to just measure. See how far apart those are? So it's good to just take your time, and you can measure things. Be sure of where you're placing your needle at, because you do have to take into account the size of the beads that you're using. Okay, so here's the second stitch. If you can see, the back through to the front, out over, kind of give yourself some space, give the bead space, because you're going to start a new row right there. Okay, and we're going to pull everything tight. See? Let's do another blue so you can see. 2, 4, okay. So you want to give some space between the beads, not too much space, just enough. See if you can see there. And then you wrap it around the back. You can hold it with your finger if you want. See where the needle would best go. And you know, once you really get comfortable, then you don't even have to measure. You can just do this just by eyeballing it. But it takes time to learn how to do that. We'll do one more row of yellow just so you can see. Okay. But if you're just beginning, it's best to just kind of take your time, measure. See, look at how I'm measuring kind of in a way. I'm putting the beads next to each other so I can see where I need to place my needle. Because if you just go blindly placing your needle wherever, you're just going to have all kinds of issues and it's not going to look right. There we go. And see, I put the needle through. Here it's coming out the front. Like that. Ta-da. There. So there you go. There's one technique for just edging with one bead, and then there's another technique with wrapping the bead, the wrapping the edges, because you do want to finish off, because there's always going to be, you know, you need to cover up these stitches in the back right here. So you do need to cover it, and then to finish it, you need to put an edge around it. So this way is just one bead all the way around. This way is wrapping. Alrighty, there you go. Thank you.